Hi, there's a lot of prep here, and I'm going to do a responsive video on what Dan Urban Survival and Prepping is talking about. He's talking about there's two kinds of preppers. The first prepper, he's saying they're introverted. They only prep for themselves and maybe their family. That's it. They don't share none of their knowledge. They don't share any of this other stuff, and they keep withdrawn within it. And it says using 40 plus as an example. He's saying 40 plus. That is not so on all that. It can be very young preppers as well. What has made many preppers introverted is simple fact is ridicule and comments. You turn around, you hear people say, I'll be coming to your place if things go happen because I know you know how to do this stuff. You got plenty of food. I'll come there to stay with you. So, yes, it's made many preppers more secretive, more introverted. But they're not just really prepping for themselves. They're usually prepping enough to make certain that their family is taken care of. And that takes priority in your situation. You're going to prep for yourself, your loved ones, and you're going to make certain that you're taken care of. So, no, they are not necessarily introverted. They can be introverted. They can express themselves within limits. But even first I was having problems kind of even talking about my channel a little bit. And I said, well, I'm a back to basic prepper and I got the looks and I got the attitudes. So I am limited in what I talk about to people out there. And I watch people. There's people that I watch that I would not trust as far as I can throw them. They are going to take whatever I got. They're going to be at my door wanting my food. And it's not that I don't mind giving them food or helping them out in a situation, but these kind of people would never stop. Now, some of these people just seem like things go missing. You let them borrow something other, and you never get it back. And then when you try to get it back, it's gone. So those kind of people you don't want in your prepper circle. So yes, you do want to help other people within limits, but you don't want to express yourself. You don't want to talk about, well, I've got, several months worth of food put up. I'm putting up this and I'm putting up that. You don't want to do that. And it talks about also how some of these preppers do at shares. Now, the other prepper, the second prepper he was basically talking about is the ones that shares information. But he also talks about these that always talk about these different types of products and things they're showing. And I do show some of my products, but I also use those products. The thing is, too, that Medium does boost the sales of this kind of product, that kind of product. But in a real true SHTF event, those products ain't going to mean a hill of beans in a survival situation if you don't know how to survive. The other prepper he's talking about basically the one that shares information and preps not for themselves but preps for other people as well. Becomes part of groups to define themselves. They're the extroverts. They're out there. Now, there's a problem with that too. I'm sorry, Dan. This is my opinion. There's a problem with the extroverts, as you put it. These extroverts who join a lot of these groups don't know what heal means. They pretend they know things. They join all these groups, they go to these events, and they pretend there's something. I went to a meeting one time when I was starting to get into it a little more, and he said they was talking about this one guy, and when they went out to his place, they were just amazed because he was boasting and bragging and talking about all this other stuff, and he was living in a trailer. He had none of this stuff really as to what he was claiming. I mean, they were just really surprised. They were expecting all this stuff. And when he got out there, he was living in a rundown trailer. So that he did not have all these things he was claiming he was doing and all this stuff. So he didn't have it. So there's the downfall with these extroverts. Extroverts a lot of times talk a good game. They want to be part of the group. They will do what they can to be part of the group. They will join all these things. I prove some things on one of the administration sites. I haven't posted in a while. I just get in spells. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. but I had 445 groups. Okay, 445 groups. How do you keep up with that many groups? I post from time to time on the groups I have. I have some on Google I post in sometimes. Sometimes I get in there and read them. When I first started prepping more, I did read a lot more. But then I got irritated on it because a lot of it was showing off their latest gun, showing off their latest stuff, and showing off. So yes, there is extroverts out there, but they're not, Dan, they're not necessarily real preppers. They're not necessarily know what they're doing. They really don't. So a lot of them wants to join the groups. A lot of them wants to be out there. A lot of them wants to be part of it. A lot of them wants to be a knowledge. They need that type of knowledge. And then you're talking, but then same time you're talking about the introverted ones. Many of the introverted preppers are out there. They are out there. They're going to the events and stuff. They check them out. Some of them very disappointed. They are out there. They have their people they talk to, they connect with, and socialize with. They are out there. Now, there is those that do totally go off grid to a point because they have had enough of society and things. But then again, they still have their overall connections. Many of them has their two-way radios and their ham radios that they talk and they keep in touch with people and things. So many of them do have that. But there is those that have totally went off grid and totally isolated themselves for a variety of reasons because they got ridiculed so much or whatever reason. But many of these extroverts, as you're talking about, that shares the information, don't know a hill of beans. They're just joining these groups to be joining because they want to be noticed. They need to be noticed. They need to be out there. And that's bottom line. So, yes, there is two basic types, as you say, Dan. I'm sorry, but I think there's really more than that. I think there's a variety of type of preppers. I think there's a back to basics like I am. I do my herbs and I do my auctions. I try to show people how to be able to buy supplies and prep and save money at the same time. I do DIYs and things in that area. And then there is the preppers that joins all these groups. They're couch preppers, as I talk about. These are basic couch preppers. They sit there at their computer desk. They talk smack. They look at all this stuff. They might have a folder this thick of information, but they never leave their home. They never really get out there. And then you got the so-called survivalist ones that talk survival. The so-called survivalists. They you'll hear them in the background. Traffic. I mean, just whoo whoo, and they're sitting there smoking them some beef jerky or whatever. Or they said, this is the first time I've ever done this or whatever, but they're in town. One guy smoked some rabbit hides, was smoking him some rabbit hides, and right behind him was a gas station. I mean, he had a gas station right there. He's right smack dab in town, and he was smoking hides. So the so-called survivalists, a lot of times, never leave town. I mean, they just never leave town. They say they do, and then you got, like I say, you got the so-called urban survivors that says I can do this and this and this, and that's fine. But there is many to ride. Then you've got the bushcrackers. Now, many of the bushcrackers get out there, and they are honestly surviving off the land. But then again, many of them has a little thing put up on their 5 acres or whatever, and they're doing their videos from there, and then they go home to a nice, comfortable house. They never do really stay out there very long at a time. They just do their videos out there showing you things they can do. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying is that many people who claim they're preppers, whether they're introverted or the extroverted ones, are not always real preppers. So, yes, there is two kinds of preppers, really, in your opinion. But I think there's all kinds of preppers, in my opinion. I encourage the handicapped preppers to continue. So that's another type of prepper. I encourage urban preppers to develop some skills and maybe raise some of their own food and stuff, maybe a tomato plant or something in their household. I encourage them to get out in nature and walk, whether they're limited or not. There's all kinds of preppers. So yeah, there's more than 2 types. So Dan, I think you made some good points, but I also think that you need to research a little more on it because I think really there's a lot of different types. So this is my personal opinion. This is Life Prepper here. I want you to be safe, be happy. Bless you all.